We are live. What's up, everybody? It's GMrDrew here to welcome you to another episode of the Andrew Wojcicki Experience. This is going to be episode 447, and we're going to continue with the concept art, and we're jumping back into the old sketchbook. Still got plenty pages left on it, so yeah, right where we left off with the plopping off top streams. Oh man, that was over a month ago. So I haven't touched this book since December 10th. Wow. Yeah. We watched over the holiday. We watched that Pinocchio movie, and then my mom had mentioned how Pinocchio's hair looked like a rose. And I was just like, holy crap, it does. It was like the tree trunk with the rings, but it was all like flayed out, and the way that the hair was flayed out like that looked like rose petals. So, dang man, that was on December 10th. So, yeah, jump back in here, just do some ink work, and I want to work on an environment. So let me show you these here. You can see I have some of my references up. One of them is kind of blocked back there, that whole world reference. Actually, let me talk about that. Alright. Yeah, so I have my some references up, and this one at least I just wanted to pull up real quick to kind of show you guys. I did one of my workout videos on Instagram earlier, and at the end of that video I started I always do my promotional stuff, my sign off, and I started talking about my Patreon stuff, and it just felt weird, talking about my art Patreon stuff on a on the workout video. But then it was also interesting because it's like, man, I do workout videos and I do art streams, and it's like, wow, okay, the worlds are starting to blend into each other, and it had me thinking about how. Let me turn this down. There we go. Had me thinking about, just what I'm working on in my Patreon and things like that. And I was talking about how I needed to figure out certain locations and telling the story and everything that I have going on in there. So I guess what I have going on in my Patreon is basically all the preliminary notes and sketches. It's so rough that it'd be hard to understand. That's why I feel safe sharing these sort of things. It's not like I'm just giving it away. It's a madman's notes, but I'm kind of, detailing the story and sharing that as I go along. And it's gotten to the point where, there's an A story and a B story, and the way I want to go around telling that is, the A story being the character's journey, and the B story being the world and everything, the world events, everything that's happening in the world that the world I created. It sounds weird saying that out loud. So earlier today I went and did what I said I was going to do in that workout video, as far as like finding out the locations, figuring out how I'm going to tell that story and everything like that. I had my Patreon sketchbook is basically where I'm putting all the notes and stuff. So you can see it's all just like scribbles, But wrote that earlier and went back into my old sketches, found the stuff, and now with this new setup and the new software, new hardware, and everything like that, since the last time I've actually visited and worked on the digital files of all the concept art and the story so far in the world I created. I figured I'd share a little bit of that. This is kind of like stuff I only want to do for Patreon, so I'm just gonna be posting on Patreon. I gotta make it worth for the patrons. You know what I mean? Um, so I limit the story stuff to there, but then all on my other social medias now I have like things that I want to post. So it's like, okay, I'm kind of slowly figuring things out. But at the moment, I think it feels right for me to share something that I normally wouldn't have right now. So yeah, in the references in this big window that I just pulled up, like I got like, it just looks like some green blob with some gray squares in it, and they got some sketches, and that's just a bunch of like sketches that I made of environments because I was more of a character artist, so I didn't really have too much experience working on environments. So I really dove in and studied them and learned about horizon lines and perspective 1.2 point. And my goal when I jumped in and did that, I drew hundreds and hundreds of them, by the way. My goal was to be comfortable with just as uncomfortable drawing environments as I was with drawing characters. And I even remember watching an Alvin Lee video, a long time ago, and he was talking about his artist process, his penciling process when he was working on comic books and things like that. And I remember when he was talking about doing an environment stuff, just how natural those things all seem to be. Like as far as putting together details and drawing out the world, you know what I mean? Like nothing's ever really perfect. Everything's always a little off, and it obviously there's various degrees of off, and he was drawing something like a city that was in rubble, like a guy running in a kind of broken down city, and he was just detailing like even rebar coming out of the cinder blocks and things like that of the destroyed buildings and things like that. So that was pretty much the only knowledge I had going in on doing environments outside of like some of the paintings and classes that I took in college and things like that. The little bits of studies from there. I never really focused on like environments, backgrounds, special effects. Like I was always focused on characters. So yeah, it was a big endeavor for me to try to take on and work on environments and things like that. So with that said, I did like a bunch of these little sketches, but then I also drew a world map, and that's what I've been kind of toggling back and forth here. So these are little sketches that I've laid out across a world map, and there's other maps. There are a couple other maps that I just haven't even gotten to yet. But all the concept artwork that I've been working on, like the map that I have here that I'll be pulling up shortly, as far as like the continent that we're working on and things like that. Just to give you an idea, like this is a picture of the world map. Kind of, you just see like the land masses, right? So I tab over, you see all those gray squares. Those are all of those sketches. It's not even all of them because some of them belong in other planets or other locations, but obviously it's most of them. It's a whole lot. Like I said, I dove in and I wrote something for a few years, and I kind of went a little overboard with it, but it felt right, so I just did it. Like, you know what I mean? Like it, as long as it feels right, I'm gonna continue to do it. So that's all that this is. Like me taking on all this work is an insane task, but it feels right. It feels right to just keep going and with the plan that I have here. So you could see with all these locations on the map, you'll even in this picture there's like some yellow squares and lines, points and connections, uh, going from like this area to that area of the map. And essentially, this is kind of like the character's traversal in the initial story. So as I'm working on my Patreon content, um, I'm telling this story. Literally, this point, yellow line, yellow point, yellow line. You know what I mean? Like that's the trajectory of the path that the character takes, and as you can see, that path covers some of those sketches that run over the thing. So what I was talking about in my exercise video, GMrDrew makes fitness, on Instagram. Uh, I mean, it was essentially this. So today I kind of compiled all this together to kind of talk about it for a little bit. And if we zoom in, I mean, it gets super bitmappy, but you can see like we start here, whatever this location is, and we slide over, and it comes over here. But you see we kind of cross some paths, and it's a little extra. It's like, why would you even want to? Why do I even want to tell a story like that, or why do I care to tell the story like that? Part of one of my biggest inspirations, I'll just say it, is Samurai Jack. It came out so long ago, and I remember Samurai Jack was famous for two things starting out, and you can go back and watch the first episode. It's crazy. No outlines. They had the software where you can eliminate the outlines, or you could at least color the outlines the same color as the fill color to the character. That way they achieve like pretty much no outlines. That was one. It was an art. It was a visual monument. And then the second thing that he had done, that it's being highlighted in his latest series right now, Primal, that you can watch on like HBO or Cartoon Network probably, or Adult Swim maybe, or you can buy it. I bought it. I'm a huge Gendy Tartakovsky fan, but nonetheless, going back to Samurai Jack, the second thing that it was like really popular for was minimal dialogue, minimal speech. Jack pretty much never said anything for the most part. One of his character traits we all love about him. So it was always up to the characters in the world to speak on the world's behalf and kind of build up the narrative around Jack. And we just got to watch Jack kind of react and take care of business. So one thing that I really liked about Samurai Jack and what they were doing was in all of that quiet, in all the times when Jack was getting from point A to point B. Jack is here, you gotta go over there, and the man just shuffles along, right? As he shuffled along, he crossed like all sorts of crazy lands, and part of what the team did working on it was they showed the world, and they never really made, I don't know if they ever like planned to make sense of it or not, but it was just always interesting to see like Jack walk through these environments and be like, that's interesting, I want to know what's going on over there, and then you never revisit it, and then it's like, oh, okay, like it's just a dope world out there. That was always interesting to me. It was always an inspiration to me. So as I like created all these things, wrote a story, made a character, created a world, or created interactions with other characters and the world around them, and then eventually like family treed the characters, connections, and built the environments around them, and then I had this world, like literally the world, that was made, the land masses and the oceans and all that other stuff, basically populated the characters and their environments into that. And what it allows me to do is to actually chart a path. So and all of it makes sense to me. This is all stuff that was like once in my head, and then I just slowly over time, by studying these locations and drawing hundreds of environments, and then trying to make sense of them all. Um, Creating the world map. That I created the world map just based off of a dumb theory that I have. Um, it, you always think you have a theory, and then you find out no, a million other people already had it a million years ago. So it's not like it's a crazy theory. Um, but yeah, oh, and then I don't know why I included this picture in here, but essentially this picture just outlines all the different continents. Well, I guess it's just the way I could jump into what I want to work on coming up next. Um, so yeah, this was just like a way to show the different continents here. So every square kind of shows one of the maps that I'm working on. And right now, the map that we're working on is this orange square all the way in the corner here. This is like the really rough sketch of it, right? Where it's like, oh, okay. And, I've been slowly working up the environments up, this continent. I'm kind of like halfway through. I'm in like the middle area of this. The characters that I'm working on now are going to be branching out into the water. I kind of still need to go up over here and work on some of these. I'm so happy y'all can see my mouse. So yeah, so you can actually see what I'm talking about. But like, I definitely want to get to the upper left corner, but right now I'm working kind of like center right. Uh, so yeah, let's. There we go. Is this one. So that really rough map that I was just talking about over here, in the upper left corner now. This drawing I just blew up was like my attempt to try to redraw that land in that image, and draw the actual locations and the sketches on the map, so it looks something like a theme park map, you know what I mean? Where it's like, hey, this is the theme park, here's the paths to get to these places, but then the locations are basically like logos for those locations. It's like a destination logo. Um, that's essentially how drew these maps out. And, I drew this one a hot minute ago. And so it's been a minute since I've shown it. That's the only reason why I wanted to bring it here. It kind of shows you how I'm building from writing to sketching to, like pushing those sketches into actual illustrations. I'm actually like building the world, and it's all visual development, and it's kind of been like the thing that I've always wanted to do. It's the most difficult thing to do, I guess, is to kind of just be the guy who actually says like, this is how I want things to look. But well, obviously it's my story, and I had the ability, or have the ability to do it, so I do it for myself for sure. But hopefully other people would want those services as well. Maybe other people have stories that they want to tell, or characters that they have, and they just don't know how to tell the story or something. I'd like to think that maybe I can like help them out, talk with them and things like that. That's kind of what I've been hoping to do with the stream and everything. But yeah, so I just wanted to show that map just to kind of remind you guys. Oh, but if you look, what we're going to be working on, the area, if you see the here, let me pull into it. The area that we're actually going to be working on is these like rainbow kind of areas, these little islands here, like whatever's happening here, like off the coast. Like we're gonna be exploring that, and I want to kind of work on that environment. I spent a lot of time working on characters. I did the Bayonetta study. I jumped back in. I did I finished up some of the work with the Cyclops character, and the wild jungle Cyclops character, did the watercolors, um, and so it's like spent a lot of time on characters. I want to kind of jump back in to the environments, and this is kind of like the environments of the fish dude that I just worked on. So yeah, let's. Some of y'all might even recognize that, and points to you if you do, man. uh, but yeah, I'm using this as a reference, and basically just kind of want to recreate this, but with the with the map that I've created, and kind of juxtapose it that way. I may even do a few pictures. We'll see. Um, this is actually kind of gnarly, man. Having like a desktop monitor. To kind of have all my references right in front of me. Like I've been working off of paper for so many years, and having to pull documents like all my old documents. Here, let me. There we go. So yeah, let's just pick up with this page right where we left off. Like I said, back in September 13th was the last time I actually worked on in this book on the concept art. So it's been a solid 4 months. A solid 4 months. So let's go, man. What do these islands look like? let's just jump into it and draw some wow. Okay. This is gonna be a gnarly place. I think what I'm gonna want to do is kind of capture these islands all on their own. Give them a little bit more like a culture. Fortunately, I actually have the real sketch right here in front of me. I think these colors might be off a little bit. Hold up. Wow, look at the early days. Me getting back into doing art. This is the first map I drew of the southern continent. And it was like the first set of concept artwork I was doing for the thing. It was all done in like inks and color pencils, because I hadn't even like started working back with the inks too much yet. Oh my god. The old stuff. Look at that. Me falling in love with the white paint marker. Wow, all this old stuff. Where's the there it is. Interesting. A lot of colors. A lot of color is gone. Or maybe I just never put that much color in there to begin with. Huh. Because I was like, man, I could have swore I had like purple clouds around here somewhere. But yeah, they were here, not down there. They're just some regular clouds down here, which is actually kind of cool. Yeah, see, the ice continent was kind of like down here where the map ends. It's kind of like where the ice continent was. And then this map kind of picked up from it. But then, obviously. Wow, okay. Oh, shit. I love it. I love it. There we go. Get a little something going on in there, right? You know what I'm thinking about a lot as I'm working on this is like the islands and the lands from that movie Up. Was that the Pixar movie? I haven't watched that one in a while, man. That one's good for a cry, man. If you want to cry and you just like you know what I'm saying? Like you just too manly to cry or something, man, go watch Up. Psh, that shit'll put you down, man. That shit'll put you down. But yeah, they got these funky land masses in that movie. And as I was just like kind of putting this together, I was like, oh yeah, this is kind of like that. And that's kind of what I mean about like just drawing things out. You'll figure it out. You'll just figure it out. You know what I mean? Kind of make it up as I go along. And I used to be afraid of just attacking an idea as soon as I had it, because I was like, oh wait, it's such a good idea, maybe I want to save it for something else. uh for me, that don't work. Saving an idea for something else never works. So I part of how I just kind of work and flow is, and how I just jump into these things and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, and then by the end of the stream I've kind of done a few things. like like it's the only reason why I'm able to do that is just because I've grown comfortable with just moving forward, taking the good idea, using it as soon as I have it, because even though you don't know when you're going to get your next good idea, like you never know when you're going to forget it either. And you know, I don't need to talk about how many ideas I've forgotten over time, man. You know, I can imagine a lot of us have. But yeah, so attack those ideas as soon as you have them. So yeah, thinking about like this Up stuff while I'm just kind of doing this is already starting to like dictate what I'm going to be doing here. And it's like, well, what if I think that Up stuff might work better somewhere else? For instance, like how I was like, oh man, I really want to start working in that upper left corner of the map. For instance, like if I had the thought to be like, that, and you know, this upper left corner that I was talking about, where I was like, oh man, I would really love to work on something over here. Yeah. So instead of working there, so instead of applying that, like, oh, maybe I just use the landmass as like from Up, and kind of start from there, and then just start to pull away from that. And instead of doing it here, I want to do it over there, so I don't do it now. I mean, how many times? I've done that way too many times. And then like by the time it came to me working on that area over there that I swore I was going to do something with, had 100 other ideas, even, and they may or may not have been better ideas. So yeah, man, that's like kind of part of it. Just work on the ideas as soon as you have them. Trust me, they're brilliant while you have them, and then you could always just draw another picture. You know, none of this is set in stone until I start writing the story, or you know what I mean, like actually publishing the story and being like, this is the hard truth to my storytelling over here. Oh wait, let me pull that part of the map back. I was really using that. I really can't wait to get to that purple cloud island, man. And just like that, we're back. I love this new setup, man. I love it. Yeah, TV was acting up. Something weird was happening. I was like, let me actually, let me just investigate. Speaking of investigations, I watched that new Velma show. Man, you know, at first I didn't want to watch it, but then I started watching it and I said, "Oh, okay, that they're doing this." And then I was thinking about, "Oh yeah, this is HBO." Like they do the Harley Quinn show also, and I watched that one a bit. Um and I was just like, "Oh, okay, it's a lot like Harley Quinn in the fact that it's like a mature a, a mature female protagonist. You know what I mean? Mature themes, female protagonist, and thought it was an interesting take. Like I was like, oh okay. I was kind of thinking like, ooh, maybe I should do that too. I should put a few of those in there. I was kind of worried about watching it just because I've been scared about remakes and all the remakes that have been happening to some of the old classics that I enjoy so much. I wonder if I can getting these remakes, and the remakes have been given these treatments, and you know I don't watch too much of them, so I can't speak too much on it. But like there was like the Tom and Jerry remake, and I don't know what they've done with it, but I just know that it's like different, and I'm like scared to watch it. It's like I don't. Tom and Jerry is too good. Like the classics, they're too good. They're too perfect. Like when I was a kid growing up, I was into Cartoon Network, and then I had the Boomerang channel, which was just one channel up or something like that. Like it was like so I could just flip flop between Boomerang and Cartoon Network. Um, so I watched a lot of Scooby Doo. Um, And I watched, a lot of reruns, and even like I remember when the first movie came out and it was such a big deal on Zombie Island. Like that was a huge thing. And then as I've done like this whole writing journey that I've been on, this whole writing odyssey, um, I've thought a lot about writing, and I'll watch a lot of YouTube channels and guys who do writing and their thoughts and things like that, and even the questions that they ask. Not even so much as the thought or the answers that they come to, but even the questions that they ask are interesting. Um, and over time, I've just kind of just started developing thoughts on writing, and how would I write this? How would I write that? And all the thought experiments. And then some of them I actually tried to pursue uh, to great failure. Like before before the Snyder Cut came out, like officially came out, or even was announced that it was coming out, uh, Zack Snyder was pushing a whole lot of behind the scenes black and white images on Vero app, and like I was trying to like piecemeal all of it together to try to like tell that story, and then eventually it just became pointless to do it, right? Because obviously it came out and it was dope, and it was everything that we needed it to be initially. So it's I love the Snyder Cut, man. It is one of the greatest things that's happened in my lifetime, cinematically, like historically, cinematically. It's one of the great feats. It's one of the great feats, like James Cameron with the first technology, when he's putting together submarines built for the first time just so he can capture what it's like to go into Titanic, and he's pumping like crazy shit into just making a movie. Same thing with Zack Snyder. I'm like, it's up there for me at least. And so yeah, with that said, I watched a lot of the classics. There's always like a lot of fear in like watching what someone's gonna do with something that you love. But I like the Harley Quinn show. I think the Velma show is decent. Like I think I need to watch more of it in order to understand it better. Um, One of the things I was worried about when I was watching it was like, oh no, what about the ideas that I had for Scooby Doo? You know what I mean? I wonder if anybody did anything that I would have done. You know what I mean? After having so many ideas, and actually having a Scooby Doo idea, because in the pursuit of jobs and things like that, I try to apply to certain companies, and obviously, uh, what I like to work on. Uh, well, obviously, in animation, if I ever had an opportunity to work on Scooby Doo, it was like, oh yeah, I got one in my pocket. You know what I mean? Like, uh, so as you like you said, you always want to attack your ideas first, or as soon as you have them. So it's like, why am I sitting on this Scooby Doo idea? You know, maybe by the time I actually want to do something with it, it's not there. I get the opportunity to work with Cartoon Network, and it slips my mind or something. So it's like a little worrisome. But I was watching, I was like, oh no, are they gonna do anything like what I thought? And they didn't. They didn't do anything like I thought, and I was just like, okay, I can still keep that idea in my pocket. Like, So that feels good. And that's actually probably something I may want to like explore later on, is like really look into uh like writing things down and sharing the writings, and just make it a part of like what I've been doing, as far as like all the crazy new posts that I've been putting up lately in recent times. Um, like I'm about to like catch the second wind and push it, and I can't wait. I can't wait to get things there. And yeah, I think it's gonna be a whole lot more fun because now I figured out how I can kind of do everything that I want to do. The only thing that I have to do is like kind of make it cool for all of you and for anybody watching this. I see I got a lurker, man. Thank you for stopping by. Anybody who can stand me for any amount of time, I can appreciate. But yeah, so it's like I got Scooby Doo ideas. I think they're great ideas. I think it's interesting what Velma did, as far as like make the characters like know each other but kind of not know each other. I love how Fred just like, who's Velma? like like Fred, we did all this shit together. Like he's like, I don't know her. Like it's good. It's a good show. Like I'm definitely gonna give it some more time, some more effort. Um, Speaking of giving things time and effort, man, I've also been watching on HBO The Last of Us. I've had some thoughts. Everybody has thoughts on The Last of Us, right? And I don't know. I never really thought too much about like sharing my opinion on TV shows and stuff like that, just because I'm always like, who am I? Who am I to say anything? Who cares? You know what I mean? So it's like I've really been trying to think of how can I make my perspective or my thoughts or anything like that interesting. Um, and all I can really do is just share them. You know what I mean? Uh, it's hard to really share my thoughts as I work. There we go. Um, so it's like, man, I got something to say because it's like there's been two episodes. Um, I guess I should start with saying that I like it. um, but before I even talk about the show and the episodes, maybe I'll kind of think about how I was like, they're making a show based on a video game that's not that old. I guess 10 years is kind of old, but like, it's not that old. It's not like Super Mario, or it's, if we're going to make video game movies. So I was always like skeptical about them just retelling a story that was already told so well. You know what I mean? The first Last of Us video game, it was all story, it was all emotion, it was all like about the characters. It was a movie, and you got to play it, and it was video game history in the making. You know what I mean? Like like that game's an accomplishment and a half. And I always liked Naughty Dog because of I was a fan of Jack and Daxter when I was a kid. So and I played the Uncharted games, and so Naughty Dog always had my vote. Uh, my PlayStation 3 crash so I never got to like play like finish the Drake games. So I never finished the Drake games, and so I never played The Last of Us. I've only ever like watched like a weirdo. Give me a second. Let me get some water. So yeah, I was like skeptical about the story that they were going to tell because it's already been told so well. But there is a lot that could be told, and I thought, okay, well, there's something there. We'll see what they do. I never watched the trailer. I heard the trailer came out, and I was like, oh, I gotta go watch it, and I just never did. And then the show came out, and I said, oh, the show's out. Bet I'll go watch it. I'm not gonna lie. It took I think I've watched the first episode 4 times, and I still really haven't quite seen it. I've seen the second episode twice, and I really like the second episode. So I really like the first half of the first episode. So it's like by the time I get to the second half, I get that one syndrome that I get when I watch Django, where I've talked about it in the past on a stream, but when I watch that movie Django Unchained, I always forget that there's like a whole conclusion to this movie after the fake dentist, the Django's partner in crime that he's working with, the kind of the guy that trained him, when he, spoilers, when he goes at the end. It's not even the end. Like I'm like, okay, this movie's wrapping up because Django's going off, his gun's going. Nah, it's like there's a whole like conclusion coming after that, and I'm always like exhausted by the time. Like I get exhausted watching that movie every time because I'm like every time I watch it, I bust my nut on the action. As soon as like DiCaprio get it, and then all the guns is like brah brah. I'm good. I got what I came for the movie experience. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like I got mines. Like and I'm like I'm ready for this movie to wrap up. I can go home. You know what I'm saying? And then every time I'm like, there's more to it, and it's brutal too. And it's like, oh my god, there's more to this movie. It really sells the nightmare part as far as like the dread you gotta feel when you're the hero, and it's like it's like you're tied up upside down, butt ass naked, like, and they're talking about cutting you off, like oof, like you think the movie's ending, and then it's like, oh no, you're just in the worst position ever. Good luck. Like, and then the movie continues. I always get exhausted watching Django. Like I like to watch Django just to test my movie watching. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like a workout to watch that movie. It's the only one that I feel that way with too. Like as far as Tarantino's movies go, but that's how I feel about The Last of Us. The first episode, I get exhausted. There's so much to it. The first half with the daughter, like I don't need to talk about it because everyone's talked about it ad nauseum. But the girl does a great job. It's well done. It's so good. It's so good. And there we go. That's how we do that. Nice. I'm glad I got one in there. Um, so it's like I feel like even though I've tried watching it 4 times, I still haven't watched it. It's like I gotta start it somewhere along the part where, you know, when without no spoilers, when there's a farm that's on fire, and they're like, that's Jesse's place or something like that, and when they're there, that's when I'm like, that's when I'm like I need to start watching from that point on, because everything up to that part, I'm like, I got that locked in and I love it. And I'm like, I don't know why I just lose focus just watching that episode. But I watch episode 2 and I was like, I got it. I love it. It's so good. I was even when I was rewatching it earlier today, or no, I was listening to a podcast. Shout out to Nerd Soup Podcast, man. I love them. I was listening to them, and they were talking about how Neil Druckmann, the director of the video game, directed the second episode. Um, this is why I like listening to those podcasts, because I'll learn something like that. Where I was like, oh, I didn't even pay attention to that part. Like, I need to really. I'm always working on stuff, so I'm always working, and I'm not really paying attention. Even when I'm not streaming, when I'm just behind the scenes, like I'm still working on stuff, and it's just it's nonstop. So even though I get to watch these things, it's like, man, it's been a real struggle to try to really enjoy them, to like sit down, focus, and then just like enjoy it like a regular flick. I always end up doing something, and it's gotten in the way of me enjoying that first episode. But I really like it, you know. I like what they did with the daughter. So something that I kind of noticed between watching the first 2 episodes is, the video game is all about Joel and Ellie. You know what I mean? Like that was the focus, and it's a great story. That's why I was like, why retell it? But there's so many more characters that are involved, and I think I even remember hearing something when the trailer came out or something, that uh, they like had the other characters in there, like in the trailer, like, oh, this is this character, this is that character. Like, I never saw it, so I don't know, but they had like side characters in there. Uh, and I was thinking, like, man, they could tell, like, dive into those characters, and that seems to be what they're doing. Like the first episode, it was a lot about the daughter. It was a lot from her perspective. Um, the second episode, it's a lot from Tess's character. It's a lot from her perspective in the second episode. So it's like, yes, these markers are super old too, man. Like, these markers I got at the same time I got that last marker, so like even these are like starting to like hit the struggle bus with me. You know what I'm saying? But it's all good though, man. Look at that. Get this color in there. Get some of this color in your life. That's what's up. So like, those are some of the things that I like about the show, is that they're not just jumping directly into Joel being the main character, or like Ellie being the main character. They're really kind of focusing story and perspective on the other characters around them, and really giving them a lot of airtime. And it kind of makes sense, because I'm sure there's going to be plenty of time for Joel and Ellie to have a lot of their story and time together in plenty of episodes. I don't know how many episodes they're planning on doing, but if it's anywhere up to 10, then there could be 3 of them in there where you can get Joel and Ellie really building character. But in the all the, let's say 10 episodes, so 3 of them are with just the 2 of them alone. That's 7 episodes of other characters that are going to be in there somewhere, and uh, it's like, you could do that. Already did it with the daughter, did it with Tess. Uh, you know, I think he's like looking for his brother or something, so it's like his brother may not pop up. so that could be another episode or two, you know. And you know, in the video game, like he runs into these people, those people. You know, you even got to think about running into bad guys out there just randomly. How much time and are they going to dedicate things like that? But it's like diving into the perspective of these other characters like that is really cool, you know. Yeah, see, so I kind of just want to zoom through these things a little bit. You know, you don't have to spend like 10 hours on every picture, I suppose. It's all just like quick concept stuff. What's today's date, anyways? 125.